I got either a clip on my channel, a video, or a live stream where I talked about this before, but I don't remember which one it was. Um, Plus, I wanted to make a video where I specifically talk about what I want to talk about today. There's another bigger video I want to make, either later today or tomorrow, but I wanted to get this one out the way first. The people that are born today, they gotta be even stronger than I was when I discovered the truth, 16 years ago. The people that are being born in the world right now, man, it's completely different. It is completely different. The stuff that you could have learned online back then, you can't learn now. The people that you could have met in person and online, like the people that could have directed you to the information that you needed, most of them are either gone now because they made a mistake or they shut their doors to the world. So somebody who's 15 years old in 2025, they have a lot less avenues to obtain the same information that I did when I was 15. And you guys also have a lot more pressure on y'all. I told my dad this the last time I saw him in person, which was a couple of years ago, because I ain't talked to this fucker. Last time I talked to him before that was when my brother got arrested, and the last time I talked to him, like after that, was when my brother got out of prison. That was a 10-year period because my brother did 10 years in prison. So when the last time I talked to him a couple of years ago, I directly told him that this was one of my problems with him. And the fact that he stopped working out and he stopped looking like this. But is that he essentially, because my dad retired in his 50s, right? People can't retire anymore. Is what it is, right? But he retired in his 50s, and how he did that was, he stayed living with his mom. He got his mom's house after my grandmother, his mother, died, and he dropped out of high school to start working. And he worked from the time, because he dropped out of high school as an underclassman, I think 9th, 10th grade year. You can't even, you can do this, but it has to be under the table. Because now you got like child labor laws, and I gotta clean my fucking bed one of these days. But now you got like child labor laws, and you can still find work as a teenager. I had work as a teenager. I paid for summer track by selling water bottles on the corner of Park Heights. You know what I'm saying? I made a video called "Taking Two Pirate 101 Guys to the Hood." I was standing in the middle of the hood selling water bottles to pay for summer track. So it can be done. But he had a real job, right? And he retired from that job. And it wasn't voluntary. He got some strokes, and they politely told him that you're going to retire medically. Enjoy your time off. So, he retired, and he was laughing because he's like, yeah, I make more money in retirement now than I ever did working. I should have listened to you, because I told him as a child he should have retired, right? He had enough years, but, dude was a workaholic. A chick called me a workaholic, but I balance my life, man. I'm not just working all day. You can't look like this if you're just working all day. But despite my dad doing things the proper way, right? Working early, getting experience early, building up your resume early so that way you can get a good job and you can retire from that good job. He tried to tell me the opposite of what led him to his success. He's like, you got to go to college, you got to get a degree, and then that's the secret to retirement, even though he didn't do that, right? So you guys born now, those are the only parents y'all know, right? And keep in mind, I'm older than anybody from Gen Z. I'm a millennial. So my dad would be older than y'all's. And It's just crazy, man. I think it's intentional because there's a lot of narcissistic parents who do not want to see their children get to a higher position than them. So they'll tell you bad advice on purpose, and they'll disguise it as something that's good for you, like going to college and getting a fucking degree just to be behind people that were intelligent enough to just start working, right? And I think it's intentional, man. I'm not saying all parents that are doing this are doing it for intentional destruction, but a good portion of them are. Because why aren't they sharing the secrets with y'all as to how they got to their position? Why are they telling y'all to do something completely different from what they did if what they did worked? So, kids born in Generation Z, you already got that pressure on you. You already have the pressure of, am I going to be strong enough to go against what my parents are telling me? Am I going to be strong enough to go against what society is trying to groom into me in order to do what I know is the most optimal path? Most kids born now are not doing that. Because when I was in school, you could be different. You could go against the grain and you didn't really have too many problems. As long as you weren't a punk, as long as you could defend yourself, nobody really messed with you. There was no getting canceled, right? Because social media was in its infancy stages. I mean, you had Facebook and you had MySpace. Instagram and Twitter came out my junior and senior years of high school. But unless you lost a fight, or if you were a female, one chick had to transfer schools because she was like caught. She was caught having sex in the bathroom, and everybody shared it on Facebook, right? So she had to transfer schools. Another chick got beat up downtown. They shared it on Facebook. She had to transfer schools. But other than getting the shit beat out of you, and even with that, if you came back to school the next day and you got your get back, you were good. Nobody would make fun of you because you got your get back, right? But if you got the shit beat out of you and you did nothing about it, you had to transfer schools because everybody shared it, right? If you were a female and you got caught doing something promiscuous, you had to transfer schools because the whole school would bully you. Even the girls that were doing the same shit, right? But other than those two things, man, you didn't really get canceled. You could say controversial shit. People back then had a backbone. People back then had a spine. People back then were not sensitive. So you could make a controversial joke. You wouldn't get canceled. You could date somebody outside your age range. You wouldn't get canceled because the internet is trying to do revisionist history. Okay, and I mean, and even now, I mean, I made a couple of videos, right? One dude kept saying I was dating underage chicks, and then I directly said, I told one of my friends to screenshot what I'm about to say and then share it in the server. You made somebody a moderator who was caught dating a 13-year-old, right? You made him a moderator, and he's still a moderator for you to right now. Right? I told them screenshot this and share it in the server. I'm thinking they were going to deny it, and they didn't. That video is still public on my channel. I think it's called Nobody in Pirate 101 Cares About Pedophilia. Yeah, something along those lines. Just look it up and tell me what the title is, because I don't be watching my own videos over. But you could date people outside your age range. Because people didn't pretend like they cared about other people to the degree that they do now. So people back then did what they wanted because people minded their business and people were not trying to be social justice warriors. So you didn't really get canceled for doing something controversial, for dating outside your age range, for having controversial opinions that were not in conform with what everybody else is thinking, and for liking stuff that was considered like not, what they were trying to program into you. Nowadays, man, the kids now are fucking terrified. They're scared of what they can post on social media. They're scared of what they can say out loud around other people. Everybody under 25, they're wearing a mask, a narcissistic mask. They're putting on a facade. And what you see the ones that do post, what you see them post is not how their lives really are, right? They're afraid of letting people know what their lives really are because they got to maintain the image. It was easy for me to do whatever the fuck I wanted as a child because there was a lot less pressure, right? And we had other things we were doing. We weren't sitting around worrying about what other people thought of us and what other people would put on social media about us and what other people would put in group chats about us. We were outside, we were swinging on the swings, we were spinning around the fucking wheel. We were outside being kids, we were outside having fun. You know what I'm saying? We were playing our sports, our track, our wrestling. Those are the two sports I did. Well, three: cross country, wrestling, and track. But even outside, and this is the thing, right? We didn't just play sports just to go to school. We didn't just play sports just to get a degree, right? Outside of the three sports I did for a team, I was, even before that, man, I was still outside every day, going to the basketball court with my friends. Now, being honest, I went to the basketball court to socialize because I'm not good at basketball. But football games, though, man, when we had enough people to play football, that's where I really shined. So we were competing because we wanted to compete. We were kids having fun. But now, one chick told me it's all she's ever known because she's been running track since she was like 5. She started off swimming. And she got angry at me when I asked her about this, but she said, yeah, it's all I've known. I've been an athlete since I was like 5 years old. And it's just different, man. Nowadays, when kids start playing sports, they're doing it with the goal in mind of going to college and getting that useless piece of paper. And I feel bad because I'm an Uber driver. The vast majority of my passengers, because of when I drive, are college kids going to bars, right? And I be hearing the conversations, man. I be hearing how much, even the ones that have scholarships, I be hearing how much they be paying for tuition, and I be hearing how they graduate and they can't get jobs and their degree is useless and they got to learn it the hard way. Because from the time they're 5, society just lies to them. And you can't really, you can. If you are strong enough, you can go against all of this shit and do what you know to be effective. But society right now, we're now in a position to where the control is almost absolute. As soon as a child is born into society now, they got a fucking laptop. They got not a laptop. They got a tablet in their hands now. They're on social media even as toddlers. And they're seeing what happens to people who go against the grain. They're seeing what happens to kids their age that get canceled. They get kicked out of school. They get alienated. That have to, the social pressure from other kids. We're not even talking about the pressure from their parents and their teachers, and we're not even talking about pressure from adults yet. The pressure from other kids, man, now is astronomical. That's not even the word, but I had to make one up just to be the adjective here, man. And we had pressure too. The neighborhood I grew up around, if you were new to the block and you went outside, you had to get lined up. You had to show that you weren't a punk or you were going to get bullied every day, right? Now, if you could defend yourself, you were good. If you couldn't defend yourself, you couldn't come outside, right? But it was different. You didn't get canceled. You just got bullied until you could defend yourself, right? Then you were good. But we really didn't have that much pressure. the teachers were talking that college shit, but half of the fucking teachers didn't have degrees themselves, man. So it's like, how the fuck are you gonna tell me to go to college when you didn't go to college and you got a pretty decent job, right? So, and even now, most of the teachers don't have degrees, to be honest with you, even now. But it's just different, man. All of these old fools, they're intentionally telling you the opposite of what they did to succeed, right? And because kids don't know any better, now all the kids around you are feeding you bullshit, right? Social media is feeding you bullshit, right? The internet's feeding you bullshit. Because unlike before, where this is what the paradigm shift that happened with the internet. 2008, 2009, 2010, there was no money like that on the internet. So when people were posting, they were posting stuff because they legitimately wanted to help people, or they legitimately just wanted to be entertainers because it's what they like to do and they wanted to entertain people. Now, yeah, obviously some people used the internet back then as a stepping stone to get into the music industry, acting industry. People still do that to this day. But what happened was that before, people mostly did it for the love of what they were doing. That's why I make videos on my YouTube channel. I don't make no fucking money off YouTube. I took down all the videos I was making money off of. Because it didn't sit right with me, man. I saw I was contributing to the problem. I'm not contributing to the problem anymore. Now I want to make videos like this where if at least one person can be helped, I did my job. But that's not how it is anymore, man. Nowadays, people get into YouTube with the sole goal in mind to make money. And then they're in for a rude awakening, man. YouTube doesn't pay what it used to. I mean, I had 5 million views. Yeah, before I took that on my videos, I had 5 million views in total on my channel. And I made a couple, made a couple thousand off that. I made about 10. I made 10,000 one year, 10,000 another year. So I made a couple tens of thousands. Let me just say that, just off of that. Not that much money. You figure about 20,000 in total. It was enough to sustain me until I got a real job. I mean, 20,000 is below the poverty. Even back then, before inflation, it was below the poverty line. But it paid enough because I was a kid making the videos, right? It paid enough until I got a real job. But I made that off of just 5 million views, right? You ain't making 10, 20,000 off of 5 million views anymore. It's just not going to happen because long-term subscribers to the channel, y'all remember it, I got partnered with TGN, and then they had like a falling out with one of their creators. Then I got partnered with Creator, funny enough. Partnerships just paid more, man. Now there are no partnerships. Now it's just YouTube monetization. So the people that don't want to get college degrees, they figure, oh, I'm going to be a YouTuber and I'm just going to make money sitting at home all day. And that's not how it works. You even got some colleges that offer a YouTube degree, a degree for YouTube. And essentially the point I'm trying to make is that there's no pushback to the bullshit anymore. 10, 15 years ago, there was a lot of pushback. If you went on the internet and you said some bullshit, you had a lot of pushback. Nowadays, because we're in the support everybody, kumbaya, don't be negative, bro era, there's no real pushback. People really just get on the internet and say anything now. And nobody, because they don't want to be seen as the negative guy, because they don't want to be canceled for being a negative nanny, there is no pushback to the bullshit that's being said. And it's the same thing in real life, man. I was dropping off a bunch of college kids, right? And this actually happened a couple of times where I'll just be trying to mind my business. I'll just be trying to make my money and drop these kids off, man. And there's always one person who just says bullshit, and none of their friends correct them. They know, because usually I'll say something, and then the friends will reveal that they know their friend isn't telling them the truth. Just last week, and I picked this guy up a couple of times, because that's the thing, man. When you work the same area every night and you're a driver, you're going to have regular people you pick up and drop off. You're going to get to know the people in your area, right? And there's one guy I picked up a bunch of different times. And it's crazy because I've seen him with women before. And he was like a college junior, so like 20. So he's old enough to know better. But he has a friend, right? And she was telling him that she's a virgin. And, you know, it was a 10-minute drop off. The whole 10 minutes he was just going on about how he believes her. And then his girlfriend told him that he's a lesbian to justify not having. And that's where I just lost my shit. That's where I had to say something. I'm like, bro, your friend is 20. She's not a virgin. She's lying to you. Right? And I just had to say it, right? And then I had another passenger, a bunch of college kids. One chick was in the middle. And this dude's friend knew she was not telling them the truth, but he didn't want to tell him because he didn't want to be seen as that guy, the negative nanny, right? And I had another group. There's one chick in the middle. She's just talking bullshit, right? First she was talking about how one of her female friends is like 0-12 on wrestling season because she always has to wrestle guys, and they're like dancing around the obvious elephant in the room, man. They're saying, oh, she needs to train more, she needs to work on her technique. And I'm just thinking in my head, okay, there's 3 guys in the car. Well, no, there's 2 guys in the car and 2 females. Are any of these guys gonna just say the obvious, that you're wrestling against men? Of course you're gonna lose. Yeah, the middle school level, the freshman level in high school, if you're 120 pounds, the 125 weight class, the 119 weight class, yeah, maybe you'll lose to a female who's been training for 10 years, who has muscle over you. That can happen. But at 20 years old in the college level, you're not losing to a female, right? Nobody said anything. Cool. Then she starts talking about track. No, one of the chicks, the other chick started talking about track. And then the same fucking bitch in the middle. Oh, yeah, I run a 4-minute mile. And then I lost my shit. I just started busting out laughing. I said with confidence, I couldn't control myself at this point. She has said so much bullshit, you guys know me. This job has taught me a lot of patience, but it just went over my bullshit line. So I just bluntly said, no you don't. To give you guys a point of comparison, as of the day I'm making this video, 2025, there has not been a female yet to run a 4-minute mile. If you run a 4-minute mile as a woman, you are number 1 in the world. You just broke a world record. I think the record right now is like a 4:06. And that's from a 30-year-old woman who's been training since she was like 5. You, a random college, you're not running that. Sorry. Okay? My fastest mile in high school was a 4:34. I know how hard that shit is. Granted, I only ran track from 10th to 12th grade year, but still, right? And I just had to say it. I'm like, I ran track. I know you don't run a 4-minute mile. And everybody in the car started, because everybody knew she was full of shit, right? But nobody wanted to correct her. And that's Generation Z. That's Generation A. That's the current era of humanity we've entered, where you gotta just let people say bullshit and you can't correct them or you're gonna get canceled. You're gonna be seen as a negative Nelly. You're gonna be seen as a hater. You're gonna be seen as somebody who has negative energy. They're gonna gossip about you in the group chats. They're gonna gossip about you on social media. I come from a different era, so I don't give a fuck. There's a lot of servers dedicated. They're called the anti-Chris servers, the anti-Frizzy servers. I got a girl's phone number who made one of these servers because, you know, she was like bitching to me on, and this is a little trick I want to give you guys. If a woman is gossiping about a guy, she likes that guy. She has feelings about that guy, and I already knew that. So she's bitching about something, and you know, one day I was just like, fuck all that. What do you look like? I'm curious if you're physically attractive. And she's like, what? You know I hate your gut. I'm like, yeah, whatever. What do you look like? I'm curious, right? She sent me a picture, and I'm like, hey, you look good. You should give me your number. And then she tried to say it again. You know I hate you, right? And I'm like, yeah. You should give me your number, though. She eventually gave it to me. But that's the thing, man. I don't give a fuck if people cancel me or gossip about me behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? I became the center of gossip a lot lately in real life. And I didn't even do anything. But I don't give a fuck. I grew up from a different era. Now, the average 14, 15, 16-year-old person, they're not going to go against the grain because they don't want this kind of negative attention. So, it's just nonstop bullshit. Nobody's filtering out the bullshit. They go on the internet, they say bullshit. They go to school, they hear bullshit. They hang out with their friends, they hear bullshit. They go home to their parents, they hear bullshit. They continue to college, they hear bullshit. So you figure 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of constant bullshit. That's where we're at right now. And society can't continue like this. The chick that does my hair. Your inner voice always tells you when you need to leave, okay? I met this chick at a different salon. I still see her now that she works someplace else, but I still went back to the old salon every now and then to get my hair washed, and I just saw all the changes. And then earlier today, she confirmed what I suspected. Similar to what I made with the hospital post on my channel a few days ago, the fucking hair people, you know, they started hiring less qualified people, you know, and they're paying them a fraction of what they would pay an experienced hairdresser. This is happening everywhere, man. The sub-rulers of society, so not the rulers, but the sub-rulers, right? The people that own the businesses, that are in high positions of government, they see the writing on the wall, man. They know we have a society of orcs now who are too afraid to correct each other, so they know they can justify paying these people less money because they're underqualified anyways. And society cannot continue like this. When it crashes, it's gonna be bad. Y'all thought the Great Depression was bad, man. Y'all thought the fall of Rome was bad. Y'all thought the fall of Germany was bad. Japan, China. Listen, man. When America collapses, it's gonna be worse than any collapse we've ever seen in history up to this point. And me and my friends already know what we gotta do if that happens. But most of the people in today's society, they're just screwed, man. They don't have any real abilities because they're never taught any real abilities from the day that they're born. And there's nobody to filter out the bullshit. So a 15-year-old born right now, they have to be stronger than I was when I was 15 to learn what I've learned. And that's the main reason I make these types of videos. That's the main reason I keep my channel up now, because I want to present another door. Another door that people while they're young can still open and find a way to go even further. Older people that can benefit from these videos as well, of course, that's a bonus. But sometime in the future, I'm going to make a video called Time Limit. Because your time limit is not your age, but your time limit is, you know, there's one decision that you can make in life that permanently shuts you out from this path. And that decision is not determined by your age. I'll go into more detail when I make that video. But those who get it, y'all already know what that decision is. And it's very easy to make this decision while you're young. That's why I make videos like this. So people, while they're young, they can begin this path. They can learn the decision that they should never make so that they always have a chance to live. So this video has gone on long enough. You feel me? I need to take my nap, and then I need to make some money. But yeah, man, it's not impossible though. So even though people from Gen Z, people from Gen A, even though y'all gotta be stronger than all generations before you in order to learn the truth, you can still learn the truth. It's still possible, even though it's significantly harder. But you gotta be strong enough to go against your friends, your teammates, your teachers, your parents, because all of society right now, rather intentionally or accidentally, they're programmed to lead you to the opposite direction. You know, enter through the narrow gates. They're trying to lead you through the broad gates and, you know, the wide road, so to speak. I got a video on my channel where I directly talk about that enter through the narrow gates. But you know, I won't rehash that here because this video is long enough. So yeah, I'm gonna get off for now. I got a big video I need to make tomorrow that's really gonna piss some people off. So I guess you could call this video the calm before the storm, the prelude. Catch you guys in the next video.